Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is our late weekly Q&A. My apologies for missing last week. So I have been sick, and I still feel a bit sick, actually, but a lot better. So let me just fix my screen up here. There we go. And make sure the dogs are all quiet. Beautiful. Okay. I'll just make sure that I got my settings on. I'm not really sure how. Let me just see if I can turn the settings off here. I don't know how to do that. I won't worry about that today. If you hear a few dings in the video, that's because I haven't turned my settings off. Chrissy, Rube, come on. Are you okay? I just want to make sure my dog doesn't go out. If I open the door, let me just open the door for the dog. Do you want to go out, Lube? But don't bark, okay? You want to go out? I just opened the door for the dogs. Okay, so I have a question today from Paula. Hi, Paula. Hey, Sarah Becker, how are you? Are you here? You here? How come it doesn't? Awesome. I hope the dogs don't bark. I'll close the door if they do. They've been a bit naughty. Let me just make sure my settings are right. I haven't been on this platform a little bit. Just broiling hot, and I'm freaking cold here. It's so cold. Look, I've even got my hot water bottle. I'm a little heaty on. Oh, no way. That's terribly hot. That's horrible. Oh, isn't that amazing? We're on different sides of the world. How cool, though, is social media that you can connect and live streaming, and that's so hot. I don't like the heat and like the extreme heat, and I don't like the real cold, though. I am down in Canberra. In winter, it gets really cold. Don't have to worry about it too much at the moment that I'm not riding track work, so I don't get up at 3 o'clock in the morning out there in the freezing cold. I've done for a long time. Now, if I cough through this, it's because I'm still getting over this horrible buggy sinus infection thing, and I'll have to drink a lot of water. Geez, I've been sick. I've been just terrible. I think everyone's getting sick at the moment. 108 Fahrenheit. 108 Fahrenheit. That's just shocking. 40 degrees is horrible. Down here in Canberra is pretty good, actually, because we usually get really nice. Oh, that's so hot. We have had like 44-degree days and 42 degrees. It's horrible. It's when I was living up on the Central Coast, we used to get those really hot days. But down here near Canberra, the summers are actually quite nice. Does it get humid over there, Sarah Becker, or is it sort of like a dry heat? Now, so I've got a question for Paula. I don't know if Paula's going to hop on live this morning or not. If you're here, Paula, let me know. And I'll ask before I pop into this, how are you going with dry? Yeah, well, that's a little bit better than that. I don't like the humidity. So that's at least not, for me anyway, I can't handle humidity. Just horrible. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So not too bad. So how are you going with Sailor and catching him and all of that? Is he improved and you're leading? Let me just open this. Yeah, it would be high fire danger. I'm just opening a question. Fantastic. Well done. This video that I'm going to go through today will probably give you some more tips as well, because I've got a question from Paula, and I got a video together yesterday of my Nina, and I thought I would share it because Nina, I thought I'll find a horse that is a little bit more forward. And so this is what Paula's having problems with, her horse being quite forward. I'll read the question out in a moment. And whereas you, Sarah Becca Saylor, is more, yeah, he's good at backing up. He's actually very good. Looks like a reiner. It looks, by the way he backs up, he definitely doesn't look sore behind or anything like that. So that's a really good thing. It looks like he's quite sound in that way. Doesn't look like he's got any inflammation in his, around in his sacroiliac area, which a lot of off-the-track thoroughbreds do have. I'll just go to the question from Paula. I'll go in here. My groups. Oh, where is it? Okay. Okay. So Paula said yesterday, hope you get to be able to pop on, Paula. So I touched on this question. This is when you were listening to Sarah Becca, the leading. We went through your video, actually, last Q&A, because I missed last week because I've been sick. So Paula says, you touched on this in your last Q&A about how to deal with a very forward horse out on a walk. Being very responsive in the paddock, but when out on a walk turns into a freight train. We've talked about how I was turning her in a circle around me, but this is not ideal and in fact counterproductive. It certainly wasn't working. I know things will improve the more we do all the important groundwork, stop and go, etc. And she adopts replacement behaviour. And I see this constantly, but can you give me any tips on what to do when we are out on a walk and all of a sudden she's 10 steps ahead of me? I should mention that she is still somewhat responsive and still listens to a point. She's really quite well behaved considering, but I just end up walking next to her rump instead of her shoulder, and I have to be a lot heavier handed with the lead rope to get her to listen, even having to give the occasional bump, which I hate. It's almost like I'm a fly niggling at her, annoying her. And then when we get back to the road, she's back to being totally focused on me and super responsive to the slightest movement of the lead rope. Lulu. She's annoying Minnie. And I look and feel like I've just run the gauntlet. So what's the best mindset for me to adopt in the situation? Do I try to rein her in? Do I use distraction in the form of a change of direction, not a circle? I'm thinking more like a slight turn to bring her attention back to me. Oh, look, a butterfly. So she's looking at a lot of things. Lulu, leave Minnie alone. Lulu! Why do I always have dogs barking in the video? I'll give him my... Do I use stop and go out on the road? I've tried this, but she gets more anxious, starts pawing the ground, or a combination of things so she doesn't start to predict what I'm about to do. Any tips would be very appreciated. So I've asked Paula if I can get a video. Now, let's just go back to this. So it seems like that Paula's mare is good leading, and she's responsive without seeing a video. And she listens to a point, but I just end up okay, so so she goes, and let me just backtrack here and see where she's getting. So she's she's very responsive in the paddock, but when we walk out on a walk, turns into a freight train. Okay, so it's when she comes out of the paddock and she turns into a freight train. So she's still somewhat responsive and still listens. Lulu, come on, Minnie, leave her alone. But I just end up walking next to her rump instead of her shoulder, and I have to be a lot heavier handed. And then when we get back to the road, she's back to being totally focused on me. So I presume back into the road, going back into the paddock. So this is Paula's question. Let me know if you're here, Paula. So it's interesting when you get off the track thoroughbreds, they tend to be either, and I think Sailor is with you, Sarah Becker, is a little bit more lazy. I don't know if he does get sort of pulling and leady when you're taking him out places. So they can tend to be sort of lazy and very non-responsive, or both ways, whether they're really pulley and reefing or they're lazy and sort of dragging behind. They're still not responding to the to your stop and go responses. So solving both problems, you work on your stop and go in both situations. Sorry, I'm just and it's typical. So quite, as I was going to say, you get off the track thoroughbreds that sort of tend to drag behind you, or some that get quite their adrenaline gets boosted up. So with your mare, Paula, it's like, you know, she's anticipating coming out of the paddock, and she's and get bored. Yeah, and you off the property. When a horse trailer comes slowly, gets very excited. Yeah, so you're not having any leading problems with him. So with Paula, she's having leading problems with her mare when she takes her out. You think he wants to perform. He's a lovely horse. So when he's up and going, you might get out there and do some competing. So Paula's having problems with taking her mare out of the paddock, and so once she comes out of the paddock, she's anticipating. It's like she's got memories of coming out of the stable and anticipating track work, or coming out of going into a different environment, and she's maybe anticipating. It's sort of like going to the races. Quite often, thoroughbreds will when they get to the races, they get boundy and pulling and reefing, you know, sort of wanting to get ahead of you. So their adrenaline increases. So with your mare, Paula, your mare's adrenaline is increasing. And then with that comes anxiety and some stress and things like that. So the first thing is, yeah, well, it's not so much that they want to perform. It's more, although your boy's just reacting to stimuli around him. So stimuli in the environment is getting him excited. Whereas with Paula's horse, she's getting forward. So she's coming out of the paddock, and she's from memory. Remember, the horses they haven't got a prefrontal cortex where they can think and plan ahead. They go by associations. They go by their memory bank. And so often thoroughbreds, when you take them, you know, come out of the stable and you're heading down for track work, or you're heading down for a gallop, or you're heading to the pool for a swim, they'll get excited and their adrenaline starts to get going, either for a good reason or a bad reason. They know that they're predicting that there's some work coming up, that they're going to the races, a different environment where they may be going for a gallop, and this gets their adrenaline up, or they're going for a swim. And you know why this is, what are they associating going with the gallopers is, you know, they're using extra energy, but maybe they've got ulcers and they're associating it with some pain, or but they learned that they're associating environments with situations and stimuli, leading somewhere, so going somewhere, so actions with something. They've got an association to it. So we need to retrain the association and give them a different association with going out of the paddock that she's not expecting, that she, maybe, having a probably more, she's gotten a racing association. It's come from racing. The adrenaline of going out and leading has come from racing, because they quite often get, adrenalized and excited going to different environments. Excuse me if I'm going to cough or sneeze. And so to be able to have control of their legs, so to be able to teach them that they're not, a different experience with going out of the paddock. Let's just use Paula's mare here. We need to be able to control their movement, and to be able to then have control of them in this more in a more of a stimulating environment. So Paula's mare is finding coming out of the paddock and going down the road as a stimulating environment. And to be able to have control of her in a more stimulating environment, we're going to have to close this door if my dogs bark. We need to be able to have control of her legs. So Paula has said that she's got control of her legs and she's nice and light to a stop and go in the paddock, but she starts to get anxious when she comes out of the paddock. I'm just going to close this door. Come on, I'm doing a live. Lulu, inside. Come on, here. Sit down. And while we're doing this, we don't want her, so Paula mentioned that when she starts to do a stop and go in that, out on the road, that she's starting to pause. So we don't want to increase this anxiety in them. So it's like we just got to take baby steps and gradually introduce them to being calm in the new environment. So this is why my video that I got with Nina yesterday is a good example. And it's really good as well, because I didn't know what to expect. Well, I didn't know what to expect. This is actually Nina's first day in. Oh, I'm so glad that you've learned so much, Sarah Becca. Thank you. I'm actually doing a change with not that course, with the program, because I've got the as our community, but I've got the retraining and OTTB with Thai series, and that's actually I've changed that over to another platform, the same one as the OTTB success program. So I'm actually in the process of doing the videos now, and what I think I'm going to do is to do get a bunch of us together and do like an 8-week course where we're going through something every week, instead of doing it at your own leisure. You'll have access to it, lifetime access to it, but I'm going to do a weekly course so we can get together and go through it, because I'm noticing people sort of a bit all over the place. And I think getting everyone together and me taking you through it each week is going to be really good. So that's up and coming. I've been sick and I get a little bit overwhelmed by the tech things, but I'm getting there. So thank you for your patience, everybody. Now let me go back to, so Nina's a good example, because I thought I'll get Nina because she's more forward mare. And as I said, you get a lot of them that are draggy and they're not, they won't rush ahead and their anxiety levels don't go up as you're leading them around. With Nina, it does. So before I go into the video, I just wanted to say here with Paula's mare that taking her out on the road, I would be not taking her all the way out on the road, but gradually taking her out of the paddock and taking, maybe walking her up to the beginning of the road and seeing if she stays calm, like even, 10 meters up the road, does she stay calm? And then working with your stop and go. And as soon as you feel like that she's getting to a point where on the road where she's starting to get anxious, I wouldn't go any further. I would turn her back, try and finish finish where you maybe are getting an improved response from her, reward her, and then come back. So what I'm suggesting here is when you're taking her out on the road, don't take her all the way out, but do like baby steps. So she's good in the paddock, you're taking her out on the paddock, Okay, she's good. Now you start to get on the road and you can feel like her adrenaline is getting up. Okay, so you start to, you do your stop and go, and you'll see what I do here with Nina. And then instead of keep walking, instead of taking her further and further, you get to a threshold where you don't want her to go over the threshold. So then you stop. You don't have to go all the way up the road. You stop and you turn back. So you're rewarding her for being relaxed. Okay, you're rewarding her for her improved responses, and then you turn back. And then gradually, because you don't want to get to the stage where you're leading her and you're at her rump. And you don't want her, if you're stopping and going up the road and she's starting to paw, you don't want to get to that stage. You want to stop out on the road somewhere before you get to that stage and turn back. And then you'll notice each day or every time you go out on the road, I would do it more frequently. It doesn't have to be every day, but maybe every second day or 3 times a week. You can work your way up a little bit further up the road to the stage where she's walking all the way up the road and back and relaxed. So I think this bit of footage that I've got with Nina is really going to help. And Nina was quite explosive in this video, and it's going to be really good working with Nina. I actually have decided that this first day with Nina yesterday is day 1 of her being in retraining. So what I'm going to do is film Nina's sessions, and we'll watch her progress. So without going any further, I'll go into Nina's video now. Now let me just make sure I've got this. Here we go. There's my beautiful container. Now I'm so excited. I got my 40-foot container there. I'm so excited to have got my container. I've had that for a couple of months now. So I'm being all really organized and getting everything. I'm doing a bit of a redecoration of my horse area. Lulu, don't be annoying. Now, let me just make sure that I don't, I haven't edited this video at all. I literally just filmed it yesterday, and I might just make it a bit smaller so I can see what I'm sharing here. I filmed it yesterday, so I'm going to play it. Now, this is Nina. I might just, okay. Oh, here we go. I didn't. They're going to, and it got a sneeze. Yeah. Now, doing it. Now, I've had Nina for quite a long while. And just because I get so busy and life, as you know, life has. So Nina came to me as a 3-year-old. She's been with me about 7 years, actually, 6 years. 4-year-old she came to me. 4. So Nina's right. She's a 10-year-old, rising 11. So Nina's been with me for 6 years. Now, I've actually never brought her into retraining. I've had lots and lots of clients' horses and financial issues and all of that. So she's come in. So Nina's been with me for the 6 years. She came to me as a mate when I had my sick Toby, my beautiful thoroughbred cross warm blood back in, I don't know, whatever, back in 2014, something like that. 2015, Toby had to have surgery on his foot, and he was in at Canberra Racecourse where I was working. And Nina was with a trainer there, and I needed a mate for Toby, and I didn't want to separate any of my herd horses because I knew they would get stressed. So I actually bought Nina for $200. Now, Nina never got to the races. She did not perform on the track. She was slow on the track. And I don't even know if she got to a jump out. So she's never raced. She is, I've got her breeding. She was never even named. She never got a race name. So Nina has been with me. She's had your normal handling, your teeth done, your feet trimmed, and coming in in the days, coming in for a feed and everything like that. But I've never actually done any retraining with her. So I do know that she has got quite explosive. She's a windsucker, chronic windsucker. And now this is officially her day 1 in work. So it'd be really good to be able to film this like I did with Ty. And I am going to be treating her for ulcers. I'm going to book her in to be scoped. I would absolutely 100% guarantee she has gastric ulceration. And other than that, she has, when I put her out, she gets quite herd bound. She can get separation anxiety, though she has improved. She's on a grain-free diet and has been for a long while. And she is just part of the herd. And yeah, it's going to be really good, Sarah Becker. I'm actually, now that I'm in a situation, I actually want to be filming all my horses. This is my plan, to do retraining series with all my horses. And what's really good is you'll see me here with Nina, not really knowing what to expect. I haven't edited anything here. It's just what I did yesterday. And I know from past experience, when I've taken her out in the paddock, she's got away from me a few times. She's reared up and pulled back. And yeah, so here we go. Let me just watch Nina. So she's a 10-year-old off the track thoroughbred. I haven't ridden her. Never ridden her. I know she was.
Okay, so this is a video for Paula. So Paula, I thought I'd just do this little video for you. With your question of your mare,
can you hear it, Sarah Becker?
And briefing and getting in front when you're leading. So I really don't know what Nina's going to be like, but Nina is a horse that can do that. I actually haven't done any re-education with Nina. She's been off the track for quite a few years. She never got to the races. And she can get a little bit full of herself and definitely be one that's going to pull. I don't know if she's going to do this here, so I thought I'd just walk around and see how she is and demonstrate what to do if she pulls. So let's have a go. Okay, so let's just walk Nina around.
You can't see me. You'll see me in a moment. My camera is a bit slow.
Well, let's see what you're going to do, Nina. So see how, okay, so Nina gets a little bit, to see here.
So see how Nina's explosive? Nina,
so you can see, Nina is a handful. Okay, she gets quite anxious. I haven't done any retraining with her. So let's just walk her around. Hey, come Nina. Okay.
So let me just stop here. So I picked Nina because I knew she was one that was going to be more forward. So she's not, she's a bit more, she's actually quite an explosive mare. So this is why I picked Nina. As I said, I didn't really know what to expect with her, but I knew she would be more forward. So this is basically what I would do, whether it's a client's horse or my horse. This is literally her first day. So I'm just having a bit of an assessment. I don't even know if I don't even think I've ever had her in this arena before, but obviously I'm going to start off in the arena. She's gone in the arena rolling and everything, but I've never actually even taught her. Only stop and go, leading forward and back from the paddock coming into the yards, not an actual official training lesson.
And I'm just seeing how she is. So if I got a horse off the track, it's a client's horse or something, I just assess them. So I just want
to stop here because so this is for Paula, so see where I'm leading. Now, you don't want to be leading down near the horse's rump. So that's one, it's dangerous. Two, you have no control of your horse. So you're leading, you need to be able to have control of your horse. And if they speed up, like Nina gets quite excited, you need to be able to either increase their steps or slow her legs down. Now, if I had Nina on a long lead rope and I was leading her down near the rump, I would probably end up being kicked. Quite dangerous. I know, Paula, your horse is not like that, but you just can't, you cannot take horses for granted. They're flight animals. And yeah, you don't want to ever end up being leading down near the rump, and you don't want to be behind, like, Sarah Becker, you get in front. And even though your boy is very quiet, you want to be able to have yourself leading near the shoulder and having your hand about 15 centimeters underneath the buckle of your lead rope. That way you have control of your horse, and this is where we teach her to respond to light responses. So you could see here with Nina, if I had my lead rein any longer, I wouldn't have had control of her for a start when she did her shot forward and had a little explosive moments, and I would have put myself in a dangerous position, and I also highly likely would have probably lost her, which means that she gets rewarded for her behavior. I don't like to say the word wins, but she is rewarded. She does her dipsy doodle explosive and then gets away, and that has rewarded that behavior, if that makes sense.
Nina, I know so see how she gets herself really worked up here. Okay, so I keep myself in a safe spot. Now I'm going to slow her down, okay? So can you see how she's...
So see how she's got her little dodgy area here. Now, Nina hasn't been in anti-retraining, so I have to keep myself safe, okay? And I haven't got control of her legs in this little area here because I haven't taught her to stop and go lightly from the pressure. So Nina is responding to her environment. There's something in this corner that has set her off. There's her little spooky area. She hasn't been in retraining other than the basic stuff that I've done with her leading, coming back in and forward from the paddock to keep myself safe and have some control. But I need to be able to have control of her where when she gets to a spooky environment, I can slow her down. I can't slow her down here, so I have to. I want to also explain that when she has done this in the past, and I've been out in the paddock, okay, so where she's watched the other horses go back, they've moved, and she's got away from me. So she's pulled back and reared up, and she's got away from me. So that's actually rewarded the behavior that she does here. Whereas you can see in this situation, I've got myself in an enclosed arena, but I've been able to not lose her. She hasn't pulled back enough where she's got out of my grip, which is really good. But I'm also going to say here that if you've got a horse that's explosive like this, a professional is the best way to go. You don't want to be working in this situation with a horse that could be dangerous. So a professional like Nina in a novice's hands would have ended up, she probably would have ended up in the doggers or something like that. So let's just see.
First thing is she's got a little tricky spot here. Okay, so we know Nini gets herself... And even how she's sort of dragging, she's not under stimulus control. I haven't done any retraining. Okay, she's the type of horse that would probably run over me. She's got to do it again. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is what I need to do with Nina.
So see how she's got her little dipsy doodle spot there. I'm just keeping myself safe here for a start without losing her. So I'm just keeping myself out of her front legs. And just basically just working out what's happening with Nina as I would any horse, a client's horse, assessing them. So.
Okay, is train her to stop and go to light pressure. She's obviously, okay, so I walk, stop. Okay, so we know what Nina's like. You've seen her. So let's just start here.
Paula, if you're on, let me know and I'll go back.
Ask her to step back. I've got a dressage whip, but I wouldn't even use the dressage whip because she's right at basic. We'll just pop that on the ground, okay? Okay, so here's Nina. So I'm just going to assess her. I'm just going to say, well, we know she jumps around forward and she's does a rear and everything. So I'm going to stand on this side. You keep yourself safe. I should have a helmet on, actually. I normally have a helmet on, but I'm running a little.
I forgot to put my helmet on, guys. I apologize. I had my helmet out ready to go because particularly with a horse like Nina, I would recommend wearing a helmet. I was rushing because I really wanted to get a video together for you, Paula, and I was getting late and I had my horses all waiting up there for feed. So I just got out there. I thought I want to get this video together. So always wear a helmet if you're working with a horse that is, explosive. And I'm just going to say it, me being a coach and teaching, I will be wearing a helmet. So I apologize for not having a helmet, but just me being an example and coaching. I will have a helmet on and it's up to you, but definitely with a horse like Nina, I would recommend having a helmet.
Late today. So I'm just going to see how she comes forward to light pressure. Light, heavy. So see how she's a little bit heavy. She's not too bad, but I do lead her back and forth. She comes into the yard every day. Light, heavy, heavy. Okay. Light, heavy, heavy. 1, 2, 3, and stop. So I'm just asking you to give to pressure. So light, heavy, heavy, and release.
So you can see just here, so the first thing I do is I'm checking Nina's stop and go responses. Okay, so you want to be, the first thing you want to do with your off the track thoroughbred or any horse is you need to be able to control them. You have to be able to control their legs for safety and riding is all about control. But it's control working, like we're teaching a language. Okay, it's not about having them submissive. It's about a communication between you and your horse. Now, horses look for guidance. They're a herd animal and they're looking for guidance. They need to be able to understand what you are asking of them. If they understand what is expected of them, what you're asking of them, they will relax, they will be calm, they will be your partner. But if they do not understand what you're asking of them, they're going to show conflict behavior. So Nina doesn't understand. She's in react mode. She's reacting to her environment because she's a horse. She saw, oh no, there's something in that corner. That first instinct is flight. So we have to understand the horse's natural behavior. Okay, they do look for guidance. They look to each other for guidance. So I like to, with training, I don't like this whole thing of being the dominant person. It's working as a partnership. I used to love dancing when I was younger. I used to be a dancer as a young child. And just with working with my horses, I like to see it as a partnership, and I'm the leader, I'm the teacher, I'm the leader in the partnership, and we're developing a dance together, whether it's classical dressage, competitive dressage, reining, cross country. You're working with your horse as a partner. It's the only domestic animal we ride. We ride camels and elephants, but it's not as beautiful as horses, is it? I would love to ride an elephant. I did when I was a kid at like Bullen's Animal World, but we're working with horses. To me, it's an art. Even with show jumping or dressage, it's an art. So training horses is not about being the dominant one and being control. You must do what I say. It's about, okay, we need to learn a communication here, and let's just get something together, which is equitation science. And horses will look. They want to know what is expected of them, and they will relax when they have control of their environment. Training is about teaching a horse to be able to control their environment.
And stop. Good girl. Light, heavier, good girl. So
I'm just checking my licking
and chewing. So the licking and chewing is a sign of her just being a little bit stressed or got over a stressful situation. Stop. Good girl.
So
good girl.
I just want to go here. A bit of a common thing is, my horse is licking and chewing. They're relaxing. They're calming down and relaxing. That's actually not true. A horse will lick and chew after they've been through a situation that's increased their adrenaline. They have experienced some stress. And Nina, she's not sure. I got the hiccups of what's happening. She's obviously had her little dodgy area where she's got frightened, and she is you'll notice that they lick and chew after a stressful situation or their adrenaline is increased in some way. And so it's not about your horse relaxing and being submissive, which is a bit that round pen work. You're chasing your horse around and they start to drop their head and lick and chew. They're relaxing and being submissive. Well, it's not about relaxing. They've been through a stressful situation, and that is that they're very mouthy horses. They do a lot with their mouth. So you'll notice, and I've got such a good opportunity to observe horses, you'll notice that in my horses, I remember not long ago, I put a horse out, letting them out, and I took one, actually I was just letting them out, run out, and they went through the gate, and one of my horses kicked out at Tommy, or Tommy kicked out at one of my horses, and the other horses got out of the way, as horses do. And then I noticed that horse, I can't remember who it was, started licking and chewing. So that horse started licking, chewing after another horse went to kick them and move them out of the way, showed some aggressive behavior towards them. And so as a response to that aggressive behavior, being told to get out of the way and being put, kicked, they've licked and chewed. So I just wanted to say Nina has been through she's got a spooky environment. She's been frightened. She's not calm. And so she's responding to that by the licking and chewing.
Go to this side. And we go light, heavy, heavy, good girl.
So just doing a stop and go responses.
So I'm just stopping and going with the lead rope pressure. Good girl. So light raid first, and she comes for good girl. And stop. Light, heavier, heavier. So see how she's coming. So what my goal is to teach her to give to pressure and be under stimulus control. When I ask her to slow her legs down, okay, she responds to me. So what happens when she goes around to her little dodgy area, I haven't got control of her legs. So her bounding around and rearing means is her legs speeding up. Now I need to have control of her legs. So let's just go light, heavier, heavier. Good girl. Let's just do a turn here. And stop. Good girl. Good girl.
So this is this first step. You start with your off the track thoroughbred. You stand in front and to the side, and you just see how are they. Nina's she's not draggy, but she's not really light to the responses. But she's not draggy. She's coming forward. So my goal is to have her coming really nice and forward. We introduced the dressage whip and all of that in the future, but this is where you start. Now Nina's not too bad. You'll see she drifts and everything, so it's about assessing where your horse is and then basically working up from there. So you stand in front and you stand to the side, okay, before and this is where you start. You stop and go. So I'm just rewarding Nina. I'll ask with a light rein response first to hold my hand 15 centimeters underneath the buckle, and I'm standing to the side and I ask her with a light lead rein response first. If she doesn't respond, I put some heavier pressure, heavier pressure, heavier pressure. As soon as she responds, I release. Now horses learn that she will soon learn to predict that the light lead rein pressure predicts heavier pressure coming forward if she doesn't take a step forward. So she's learning, okay, what to do. And this gives her, she's understanding what I'm asking for her, which is going to create relaxation.
Repat. So she says, I need to be able to have control of her legs. So if she rears, so her rearing and bounding forward goes back to her legs speeding up, okay, and I haven't had control of them. Obviously, I didn't back then. So light, heavier, 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 heavier. See how she's like heavier, 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 and she's still not released.
So see how there, I want to do this now. This is what you do, Sarah Becker, in some of your videos that you've sent through. See how with Nina, she just did not respond. Now, I've noticed a lot of people do this. A lot of times she didn't respond. So I noticed with your videos that you actually gave the pressure away without waiting for her to take a step forward. You released the pressure. Now, if you notice that in that situation there, if I'd released the pressure before Nina took a step forward, I would have rewarded Nina for not moving. So she would have been rewarded for standing there and not responding. So you have to get out of how we learn. You have to really understand how a horse learns. And so I just asked for light pressure there. I didn't give the pressure. Instead, I increased it until she took a step forward. So I hope that makes sense. Let me just go back. We'll just go back here. I'll just see and go over that.
Okay, and I haven't had control of them. Obviously, I didn't back then. So light, heavier, 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 heavier. See how she's like heavier, 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 and she's still not released.
I did it, even though I took a step back. I never released the pressure there. As soon as she took a step forward, I released immediately. So that has taught her that as soon as she moves her front legs, just one step, the pressure goes. So that's how she learns. So I hope that makes sense.
As soon as she took a step forward, I released. Now she's going to get, I can see how she's licking and chewing. I can see that I have to be a little bit careful here. She's coming around to a dodgy area. So light, heavier, heavier. Now what do I want to do? Okay, stop.
So see how So Nina's interesting because she goes from being very draggy and heavy to not wanting to move her legs forward to then being explosive and wanting to rush and bound around and all of that. So Nina's one of the more difficult off the track thoroughbreds where you've got a bit of both. Okay. And so it's still teaching the same stop and go, but I'm just teaching myself here. I am training her to respond to my stop and go so that when she gets to the tricky places, I can slow her down, and that in itself will start to relax her, because when a horse practices the fear response, okay, it's rewarding for them.
Go out to the other side. Well, no, we'll just work it out. Okay. So let's just light, heavier. Good girl.
Yes, it does sound like Sailor, Sarah Becca.
So this is her dodgy corner. Okay. So we might just go around. What we're going to do, so we always want to see how she...
So I'm just going to stop here. So I thought, you don't want to put your horse in a situation where, they've got to deal with the explosive area. So I've decided, not that it worked out very well because the dog's on the other side, but I decided that I'd take Nina around the other way instead of exposing her to the area where she's quite frightened, the other way. And then like what you need to do with your mare, Paula, keep them in the environment that they're more relaxed and improve your responses and gradually get control of them as you take them to a more stimulating area. So I've decided to turn Nina around to the right.
It's going around this way. Load up. Good.
Yes, it is a
one.
Is
two,
like Sailor,
stop,
Sarah Becca.
Release.
This will be really good
girl. For you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slope. Good girl.
So see, I'm getting more control of
giving her
Nina's legs.
Stop. Good girl.
And she's listening to me. You can see. And now a rewarder with a scratch.
Okay, so light, heavier. So I'm just asking. I want to be able to control the exact movement of her legs. Stop. Good girl. Good girl, yeah.
Rewarding her with a scratch.
What a good girl, my sweetheart. Let's go. Light, heavier. Good girl. Up. Good girl. We'll do one more. Light, heavier. So see, I'm just doing stop and go. Okay, I'm controlling the speed of her legs. So stop. Good girl. Let's just stop here.
So what I've done, when I'm saying I'm controlling the speed of her legs, I've had to I'm teaching her to respond to my stop and go to light pressure. And then that's how I control the speed of her legs. But if your horse does not understand stop and go, you are not going to have any control of your horse. So you've got to teach them first. And then you are able to control them in environments where you, lose control, or where they normally you haven't got control. Like for instance with Sailor, he just won't come forward, but once you teach him to respond to light pressure, you can then teach him to respond. If he doesn't come forward, you'll be able to ask him to come forward. He doesn't understand at the moment, so he's not going to listen to you.
Okay, and have a little rest. Good girl.
So Equitation Science, do 3 sets of repetitions. This is her first set we've been through.
Good girl. So I'm going to give her a 2 minutes break here. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm just right back. This is where you start with your off the track thoroughbred. How do they respond to the lead rein pressure? Do they give to lead rein pressure lightly? Okay. So Nina's not too bad, but obviously she's bounding around. So I haven't got her under stimulus control. Sorry, I've got an itchy eye here. Hey, so I'm just gonna. She's as I said, I've had her for years. I never had her in retraining just because I have so many horses. So she's just So we'll start now. Hey, what do you reckon?
So I see how she just gave a little sigh there. So that's sort of she's starting to relax a little bit. You can see that she doesn't look as anxious.
Okay, so she's obviously not a quite off the track thoroughbred. She's a bit of a stressor. She windsucks. So see how she's moving. So I just wanted to stand. So I'm just going to ask her to step back and release. Good.
So she wanted to have a little move there. I just asked her to stop.
Nice stroke on the head.
She had a huge spell, Sarah Becca. Yeah.
I just want to be careful with horses like Nina because they can go over the top of you. They can strike out. Good. So I'm just, as soon as she does what I ask, I reward her. So see how she's sort of relaxing. So she's just rearing and that because she doesn't understand. She just does her own thing because she hasn't been taught to listen to me.
So she does her own thing because she's responding to her environment, because she doesn't know that's a horse. A horse will respond to their environment. So when you're training your horse, you're actually teaching them to respond to you. Okay, this is what stimulus control and controlling their legs is all about. Instead of your horse responding to their environment, they're starting to respond to you instead. Their priority is to respond to you before they respond to their environment. So that's all about what our retraining and our training our horse is. At the moment, Nina is responding to her environment, which is natural, but we need to change her focus from responding to her environment to responding to me. Also too, Nina's had a very long spell, 6 years, and she's very narrow in front. She looks a lot wider in front here, but she's got no muscle whatsoever. She's very narrow. So it's going to be really exciting watching her progress because she's got no muscle. She's just a narrow little lean bean. A little bit of a hot head.
Okay, so let's just do it again. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to stand here to the side and I'm just going to go light, heavier, good. Now, let's see how she's licking and chewing. Okay, so that's a sign of her being a slow. Good.
She's listening to me more. I reward her with a scratch.
Girl. And light pressure, heavier, and release. So you always ask with light pressure first. Now, if her slow, good. Hey, good girl. Yeah. No, I haven't asked her she anticipated. Good.
So she
I know you're a good girl.
So she's not too bad this direction in the little
light
corner.
On the lead rope, heavier and release. So always ask with light pressure first. Now, I'm just being aware of Nina because if she strikes, kicks out, spins around slow, I felt her legs just speed up there. Good girl. So this is her little tricky corner.
Now, just there, you can't see it as much, but I felt her legs speed up there a little bit because we know this is her little dodgy corner. But because of already losing my voice, because we've already done some repetitions of our stop and go, I've actually been able to slow her legs down, where maybe when we first started our session, she would have done a dipsy doodle, but already I'm getting more control of her legs. When I felt her want to speed up her legs, I've been able to slow her legs down. So she hasn't expressed that flight behavior. Okay, so a horse, when they express their flight behavior and they increase that distance between the thing that is scary, whatever's scary for Nina in that corner, okay, is rewarding. So they've increased their distance. That's rewarded that behavior by taking them away from the scary stimulus. So what I'm doing is I'm giving myself control of Nina's legs by retraining her to a stop and go. And then when she wants to respond to the scary thing, I'm not flooding her. I'm not making her deal with this really, really scary thing, but I'm habituating her. So a horse, once they realize something isn't going to kill them and then it's not scary, they will relax around it. Okay. Because if they continually shied at everything, they wouldn't survive in the wild. They would die because their adrenaline's going to just be on edge. But they'll shy first and have a look. And then when they realize that the scary thing is not going to kill them, they'll start to relax. So that's what habituation is. Habituation to something that is scary for a horse is that you're habituating to them where they realize, oh, it's not going to kill me and I can relax.
Seem as bad this way. Like, now you see how you would never get on Nina and ride her straight away because you'd end up over the fence. Hey, wouldn't you, Nina? So I can see she's thinking, I stay.
So another example with Nina now, just say she went to a novice person. I just say I was someone that had it for 6 years in the paddock, and I've got a lovely, quiet, off-the-track thoroughbred because she was sold to me as a quiet, off-the-track thoroughbred. She was really quiet, apparently, and she may have been, but she was windsucked back then, so she was very stressed back then because she was a chronic windsucker and still is. Oh, I just got a message through, sorry. And so, someone gets her off the track. Now, if they don't know, to ride Nina, I would never get on. I never get on and ride any off the track thoroughbred straight away. I always assess them first. But I would end up over the fence. Imagine how stressful it would have been for Nina if I just started riding her after 6 years in the paddock. Now, just say she ended up in the sales and some bushy got her and threw her on and rode her and flogged her and everything, she did probably end up in the doggers. So Nina, I will be doing months of work with Nina before I even put a saddle on her. And to example how it would go into such a spiral negative situation with Nina if I was someone who would just start under saddle straight away. So I just wanted to mention that there.
Forward, okay, and to the side. Light. I hope you can see here, light. Good. So that was better. See how? And she wants to speed up here, so I slow her legs down. And little one, light. Good. So she's actually. So what am I doing here? I'm teaching her to respond to pressure and release. Okay. So I'm teaching her to follow my pressure and release signals. And when she see how she's quite explosive. So I just stand.
So Nina is 1 minute she's really relaxed. Looks really relaxed, but she's not. And the next she just explodes. So this is Nina. So this is why she's going to be really interesting to work with, because she's you just don't know. I don't know when she's going to explode. I did not get any feel then that she was going to do that. She doesn't give you any indication that she's just going to explode. And so she's going to be a really good mare to follow through retraining, because she's not she's not easy. And so you can see here, once again, I keep myself in a safe position. And I do the best that I can do to have control of her. Now, as I said in the past, Nina's got away from me in situations like this. She's pulled back and got away from me, which has reinforced this behavior. She's been rewarded by it. So she hasn't been rewarded by it. So I do the best that I can do to control her legs without putting myself in a dangerous situation and without stressing her out.
Now, what happens is as she becomes more responsive, okay, to my...
So you can see here what I've done.
Pressure, stop and go and turn.
So you can see here, as soon as she stopped and stopped her legs, slowed her legs, I've rewarded her. I've given her a stroke on the face and I've rewarded her. Another thing is, when horses get, you'll see some people quite often in racing, stable hands and things like that. If a horse did that in racing, or maybe in anything, they'll roar at them and get at them or flog them or shake the lead rope or get really can get aggressive. I've seen it often in racing. A horse will do something like this and they might get punished for it. Or people take them on off the track and they'll see something like this and they either get away and they're rewarded by the behavior, or they get punished for it, or they're chased. Or a horse like this, they might put them in a round yard and chase them around and make them tied. That is just going to make things worse. It's not teaching the horse anything. It's only going to increase anxiety and be detrimental to their welfare. So you can see, once again, with a horse that's explosive, a professional needs to handle them. You don't want to be doing this yourself if you feel like your horse is too much for you. So you can just see when Nina slowed down, she stood there, I stroked her face and gave her a reward. I'm not one to do treats. I don't think you could do treats in this situation. I'm not one to do treats myself. I find tactile, I like more tactile touch because tactile touch is very rewarding to horses if you can find a space on their body that soothes them.
As something like that, I have a lot more control of her and she's not as explosive. Good girl. So I reward her for standing here.
Now my dogs go crazy and make everything worse.
The dogs are running around, so it's a little bit of as I said, this is her first ever session.
Lula decides to bound around everywhere.
Good. So I'm just going to turn her around. Okay, we'll go in the same direction. Wait.
So I thought going up this end might be a little bit more of a quietation. I mean, she's used to the dogs. She's been around dogs for years and years. She's not worried about the dogs. But obviously, this is her first ever session, and we're working out what Nina's like. Okay, even though she's very habituated to the dogs, okay, normally running around in a situation, it's triggering her in this situation.
So she's a bit worried. So I'm going to just make sure I don't get...
So she's quite explosive.
Jump more than me or her. Make sure I don't get more near her.
So I just don't, with Nina, I don't get any indication that she's going to do something like that. That's why I need to keep myself safe. She doesn't sort of she's very explosive. She just gives no signal whatsoever. She would be the type of horse that if you rode track work and she was pushed to the limit, that she would flip over backwards. And I've had horses flip over on me. 1 minute they're okay. The next minute they're like stiff-legged and just throw themselves backwards. So Nina would be that type of horse.
Hind legs. So when she wants to bounce and shy and everything, I stop her legs, okay? And as soon as she stops her legs, I reward her. Good.
Does that make sense now? But if once again, you can see how I didn't really have one. I can stop her legs a little bit easier already in this first session than I did when I first started with her, coming around to the dodgy corner. So I'm actually getting more control of her as we progress through this session. And so that's what I'm teaching here.
Girl, good girl. Okay. And then I stand over. Ask her to step back. Good, I know.
So I just asked her to step back because when she took a little dipsy doodle there and took a fright, okay, she moved her legs forward. So I'm correcting her from going forward. I'm asking her to step back. Once she steps back, I reward her immediately by the release of pressure and a stroke and me saying in a soothing voice, good girl. So she's understanding she's learning what the correct response is.
So I know, so with an assessment, I know that Nina's very, very, guys, do you want to sort of settle down?
My dogs are going crazy.
She's used to the dogs. Now I need to make sure with Nina that I don't get run over the top. She doesn't run over the top of me. Good. Lulu, settle. Lulu. Oh, my God. Just what you need.
I freaked out.
Lulu, settle down. There's a dog going crazy. Okay. Yeah. Now, you know what I'm going to do with her here? I'm going to teach her to lower her head. So see how she's alert, head up, ready to just jump at any moment. Now, this is horses. Horses are a flight animal, so I'm going to teach her to give. See how she won't get good.
So see?
Good.
Okay, now I go into, this is really good, teaching your horse to lower their head. So you can see Nina is in her flight position, her head's up, her eyes are looking, she's ready. She's just ready, looking for something to jump at. Okay, so stop and go and lowering the head are the first three things that I teach my off-the-track thoroughbreds, okay? Stop and go and lowering their head. Even if they're really quiet and dull, teaching them to lower their head. So lowering their head is teaching them to give to pressure. Okay, but also as I teach Nina to lower her head, I'm changing her physiology. I'm changing her posture, which is actually releasing endorphins to put her in a more relaxed frame. And this is, I'm going to decisive here. This is not about forcing your head into a low position with side reins. This is teaching her to give to pressure and to change her posture.
Give pressure down with good. And I just down.
I just take it down.
Good girl.
Corrected her when she took a step forward. I just want head down, not forward. So it's the same thing. So you see she's jiggly. She's ready to just go.
Good girl. So as this scary thing where all the dogs are running behind her and everything, I'm putting her posture in a more relaxed space. Yep. Good.
So she's just moving there. I'm just going with her. I'm going to ask her to slow down. So she's a bit worried. She's moving her legs, which means that she's not clear at her stop response. So I've just rewarded her when she stopped.
You can have a look at the dogs. Okay. Good girl. Okay, so I normally do three. We do 3 sets of, I've lost my little fluffy things. I hope my volume's okay here. 3 sets of repetitions. Okay, so let's go forward. 1.
So this is our 3rd set now.
4, 5, 6, and stop. Good girl.
So see, I'm just getting more control of her legs, rewarding her.
Light pressure. Good.
She's responding more to the lead rein now. She's understanding that when she feels light pressure,
and
she's
stop.
to step
Good
forward.
Good girl. Light. Forward. 5 and 6 steps and ask her to stop.
She's looking somewhere.
Get her to look at me. Good. So this is her little, okay.
So I'm just asking her to
we're going into our dodgy corner here. Good. So we stop, stand.
So I'm just being a bit aware that we might be having a little spooky wooky around here. So
1, 2, and so I'm really so
see how I'm really.
Stop. She wants to rush. I'm just going to stand her here. Good.
So see here. Okay. So she's looking out there. Something out there that she's shying at. Okay, so now that I know that I'm coming to her little spooky area, so I've already taught her, she's already learning to respond to the light stop and go responses. So now I'm using what she has learned to have control of her legs in an area where she's getting a little bit more, where she rushes, where she speeds up her legs because she's spooking. Okay, now I'm keeping myself safe. Now I'm see how I'm slowing her legs down. And this is Paula, this is what you need to do with your mare. When she starts to get rushy, instead of if I allowed Nina to rush her legs, I mean, it would be very dangerous for me with Nina, but I'm getting her, first of all, I wouldn't have been able to walk past this area at the beginning of this session. She would have exploded, but now already she's learning to respond to my pressure. And so I'm having more control. I hope that makes sense.
So you see here, I'm just doing stop and go, controlling her legs. It's okay. She's getting a little bit worried.
I'm rewarding it.
Okay, I'm going to ask a little bit of head down.
And I thought, I decided to ask for head down here because she was very alert.
Good.
See how she's sort of just changing her posture.
And light.
Changes her frame of mind.
1, 2, 3, and stop. Good girl. And head down. Head good. So see how when I bring her head down, she starts to relax. See her licking and chewing? So licking and chewing is a response from horses after they've been through a stressful situation. So we know Nina.
So isn't that interesting? So we've just walked past that little, we know that Nina gets stressed past that little part. We're coming to a stressful area. I could feel she wanted to rush her legs in this area. And then once again, she's shown as she's gone through a stressful situation, she starts licking and chewing again.
She looks around, so I'll keep her head down. That's okay. So I'm just going to know and slow. So see how she wants to slow. So make sure that.
So this is where.
I don't want her to look over there. Good.
So I'm just getting control of her legs.
Good girl. This is her dodgy corner. There. Stop. Just control her legs. Good. Reward her for standing.
So at the beginning of the session, she would have exploded here. And I don't know whether she does. I can't remember.
Good.
Yeah, she still does. That's okay.
They're being silly, aren't they? So she's a bit better there.
So I had it
better. See how she hasn't.
So I had more, as I came around, I had more control of her for a longer period of time. And then I felt that I had more control of her then. I felt that she listened to me more. So I can feel that it's improving.
I'm asking her to lower her head, keeping myself good. Now, I normally have my helmet on. Okay, so I suggest never work with a horse without a helmet. It's just that I was rushed and forgot to put my helmet on. It was right out there. Okay, so you can see how I had more control over there, asking her to lower her head. Good.
I'm just lowering her head.
Putting her in a more relaxed posture. Now, she's not too bad, so she's responding to my head lowering. If your horse doesn't respond to the head lowering, good, then you need to teach them that first. So let's just go a little bit more forward. So ask light. Good. And slower legs. Good. And head down. Head down. Good.
So I'm just combining. So I've decided to combine lowering the head with Nina in the first session because one, she's learned it quite fast, and two, it's helping calm her down.
And that. 1, 2, and 3, forward. And stop. And 1. Now, we know this little tricky. So see how this is her little dodgy corner here?
So see how she's wanting to.
Well, it's okay. Stop. So see. Okay, so she's shying, running back. So I need to be able to stop her I trained her so that I got her control of her legs. How about you guys just settle? So having dogs are going crazy. So let's just stand. Now, what I want to do,
and this is the first time in the arena having a session.
It's okay. Okay, stand. So I would have her controlled, so I wouldn't take her. So what I'm going to do is, okay.
See, she's just doing my best to keep safe
Stop.
and asking.
Good.
So she wants to shoot forward the other
legs.
way.
Good.
So with
Good.
I'm just
How
going to
about we go
mention
around
here,
this
so Paula. So Paula, you said change direction. Yes, change direction. So see how with Nina, instead of me deciding to keep, well, she turned around anyway, to keep progressing forward, okay, where she was going to explode, I actually changed my direction and I thought I'll go here and do a little, she's faced that way, turn around. And yeah, so definitely change direction if that helps.
Slower legs.
And then we come around and have another go.
Good.
So we can do little, we don't have to do the exact
Slower
pass.
legs. Good.
We can do little, so I can,
No.
so my goal is to be able to get up here
And
without her exploding.
Slower legs. Good. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. Okay, I know. And how about we just do, so let's just go to our, oops, I've got my leg right here. So I would go to our little area where she's not so scared and do the work and get a nice and light and responsive. Okay. Good. Good. Good girl. So we know where her...
So I'll just respond to you, Sarah Rebecca. So you Sailor read in the beginning, but I just laughed. Is it terrible that I love to see them rear? No, well, you don't want them to be rear when you're handling them. It's so that's the thing, is you don't want them to, because they're just, you don't want to reinforce a behavior. But I mean, seeing them rear in the paddock and everything is natural and lovely. I love seeing them bounding around and rearing, but you don't want them, not getting the reaction he wanted to. He stopped doing it. Yeah, so he's probably rearing. Rearing is a problem with your go forward response, which is what Sailor's got. As we know, he doesn't want to go forward. Rearing is their legs are slowing down, they're stopping, and they're going up. They're resisting going forward. So as we know with Nina, she's got both problems with her stop and go responses, and Sailor's showing the same thing.
Okay, I wouldn't do too much. So what I would do is to see how she's wanting to drift here. And watch her here. Good girl. So this is a little, so she's a little bit worried about them. So I'm just going to work around here. Make sure that she's not going to run me over. Good girl. Right. Now I'm going to finish here. I'm pretty happy. So she's worried about the dogs.
So I'm thinking of finishing here, but
slower legs. She wants to run, but she's listening to me. Good. Slow. See how she wants to run, but she's listening to me. Slow. Good. She's worried. I can see her face. She wants to rear and everything.
See, she's worried. She wants to
slowing her legs.
But I've got, see how she's worried. She's
good.
Licking and chewing. She wants to, I can feel she wants to explode and take off and all of that. But I've taught her, she's learning to respond to my stop and go. So I am stopping her from with what I've taught her to practice her exploding response. So I'm giving her, so I have more control of her legs than I did in the beginning.
1, 2, 3. See, that's much better. Good. Now let's just see. So see how. Good. Much better. So see how I've got more control? Keeping out to the side. So I can feel I want to rush here, so I'm just going to just stand her. Good girl. So she's licking and chewing.
So this is her stressful area. She's worried. She's licking and chewing. She's wanting to look out there. There's something there that's scaring her. But I'm actually, I am habituating her to that scary. I'm habituating her. So I'm actually, with what I've taught her with the stop and go, I have got control of her. So I'm not, I have the ability to have more control of her, what am I trying to say? Having a tongue thing here, of her not practicing her flight response and getting away. And in that way, she's not being rewarded by her flight response and getting away from this scary stimulus. And also, two, she's habituating to what is scaring to her and learning that it's not, she's a bit worried about it, but she's gradually habituating to her. So I'm not forcing her. I'm not chasing her around the arena, chasing her, making her deal with it. I'm gradually habituating to her and getting her focused more on me than the scary stimulus, if it makes sense. So someone else to say this is in a round yard and they're scary. So another approach may be to tire them out, okay, and make them deal with the scary stimulus in a stressful way by chasing them around with a lunge rein or something like that. So can you see I've got a different approach here? That is keeping her stress levels. She is definitely stressed. Nina is stressed here, okay, but I'm avoiding tipping her over the edge. She's a stressful mare. We know that she's explosive, but I'm avoiding tipping her over the edge, taking her to the threshold where she is not, she's stressed, but she's not, I'm not putting her in, tipping her over her threshold level. I'm getting tongue tied here, but do you know what I mean? I'm trying my best to keep her as relaxed as possible.
Water for standing.
So she's whinnying.
I know, yeah.
She's worried.
I won't stand her, so we're just going to do one more slow. Slow.
I'm not drilling her. I'm not forcing her. I'm just
slow. Good girl. So see how I've got much more control there? She's improving. Stop and go.
She's got such a beautiful tail, Nina. I'm going to brush it today. She hasn't had a she's been
going crooked,
but not much.
Slow. There. So see how good. I'm going to leave it there. I'm happy with her there. So see how we walked around a dodgy thing? Good girl.
So can you see there? This is our third repetition of sessions. 3 sets of 5 to 6, 3 sets of your stop and go responses with a 2-minute break in between. So you can see there, I was happy with it. So you can see I'm not drilling her, I was happy. I think that was about 20 minutes, that session all up. And I finished it there. This is Nina's first ever session. I was happy with her. Finished our 3 sets. So I want to keep her relaxed. I finished on a good note here. And yeah.
See how she's licking and chewing?
It's been
licking
stressful
and chewing.
for her.
I think I've said it a few times in this video. Is a response from a horse after they've gone through a stressful situation or something that's worried them, or increase their stress levels, their adrenaline. So I just know Nina is quite worried, but we're just going to finish it there. Okay. Reward her. That's her first ever session of training. So there you go. Bit of excitement.
Nina's first session.
I stand to the side in case she wants to run forward over me. Now she's walked back, so I just ask her. So she's not to move her legs, so she wants to do a little dipsy doodle I can feel. Good.
So
Reward her when she listens to me. Good girl. Ask her for head down so she's not so alert.
See how she's alert of it. See how just even...
She's got a breath.
So
head
she
down.
wants to get... So
head down. Good.
Got a bit of control there. So see how when she wanted to have a little explosive moment there? Through this first session, I've got more control of her. I've taught her to respond because horses want to get away from aversive pressure. Good job, Nina. Yeah, she says this is very stressful for her. As I said, she's been in the paddock for 6 years. I've been bringing her in. She's handled, leading and everything. She hasn't done anything. We know she's a stressful mare. She's a little bit of explosive mare. And I had more control there. So I'm increasing her threshold here. I'm increasing her threshold of what she's frightened to, whereas she's will just explode normally. It's stressful for her, but without tipping her over the edge or frightening her or being, cruel or anything like that, I'm gradually increasing Nina's threshold so she becomes more brave. Through stimulus control.
See how I've asked her, see how she's relaxed as soon as I put her head down? And I'm going to leave her there now. I'm not going to make her stand here. I'm going to leave her there. And that's session 1. One more head down. Good girl. Okay. So let's walk back. She'll probably do a dipsy doodle going back.
Now, that's it. I finished there, and I left this in. I haven't edited it out because I didn't know what she was going to be like walking back. Thought she, and this is good for you, Paula, because she gets a little bit rushy. She wants to get in front, and I just ask her. I do little stops and goes and release and say, good girl. But as I said, you don't want to keep going up the road with your mare, Nina, if Paula, if she's turn around before you get to the turn around and head back. Before she gets really anxious.
Keep in a safe position. Yeah, so I'm just doing lots of walks and stop. Good. Good. Oh, she wants to chuff off forward.
So see how she wants to chuff off forward there, which is what your mare wants to do, Paula. So I've just got her that she's listening to me. Just with that first session, whereas maybe before that first session, as I was coming out here, she would have likely exploded. But now that I've trained her to stop to the light response, training her, I mean, it's nowhere near obedient. You know, we go up the levels from basic to obedient to, oh my God, I'm having a mental breakdown now, to rhythm, you know, to our training scale. So Nina's improved already just in this first session.
That's it, Nina. Hey?
So we're going all the way up here. You can.
Good.
So I asked her to step back a little bit because I just asked her to step back there because she got a little bit rushy and wanting to go forward. So I just stepped her back, released the pressure as soon as she took the steps back and rewarded her, said, good girl. Well, the release of the pressure is the reward as well. That's the primary reward.
I know. That was a bit stressful,
See,
Nina, wasn't it?
She did a little snort up there. She's like, far out. Well, that was hard.
Okay. There you go, darling. Let's get your dinnies.
There's our little tree up there.
Well done.
And we've got our little hay thing up there.
All right, you hang there, Neen.
There you go. She's up there at a hay net now. So I've got her up there at a hay net. I take her straight back.
Watch out, guys.
So she's got a beautiful hay net up there, a little tie-up area. And my dogs go crazy. I come back. So I've got my I filmed this with what they call a pivo. Excellent. A little pivo pod. I come back now. I'll show you because why not? I come back and get my pivo pod and my dogs go crazy.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
There's Lulu. My dogs follow me everywhere. And now I get my little pivo pod and I film that with my phone. So there we go. Okay. So let me just get rid of this. Oh, so I hope that was helpful. And that is, so I hope that was helpful for you, Paula, and that gave you an idea of what to do with your mare. And Sarah Becker, I hope you found that helpful. Let me know, because if it's helpful, I'll do more of these. I'm actually going to go out today and I'll film Nina's second session. So we'll see how Nina is today. And I'll just film every session with Nina, and we'll just we'll watch her evolve through her retraining process, because she's a very interesting mare, and she's not an easy one. You know, some are a lot quieter than others, and Nina's one of the more, she's more of a hothead, I would say. So, Paula, let me know if that has helped you. And as I said, I wouldn't keep completely walking. Keep your mare in a situation that, get only, a quarter of the way up the road, and start doing what I did with Nina, and then reward her, ask for head down and go back. And you will find, as I probably will find with Nina today, she will have improved. And I don't know, but I may be able to get around that dodgy corner a lot easier today with Nina than I did yesterday. She won't be so reactive. So I might leave this Q&A here, because I'm getting tongue-tied and I need another coffee. So let me know if this has been helpful. I will upload the replay to It'll be on YouTube. It takes a while to upload, so I'll upload it into our Facebook group this evening. Actually, I'll do that this evening. And yeah, would love your feedback. Let me know if this has been helpful and if you've learnt anything from it. And also, would you like to watch are you keen to watch Nina through her retraining process? Would you like me to film it? Let me know, because your feedback gives me the opportunity to know what you guys are looking for. So I will leave it there. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in the group. You're welcome, Sarah Beckett. I hope you found that helpful. And I'll have a lot more videos coming up. I've got, it's quite like just editing. So this little video here, I'll go in, just shows you with the editing. So what I'll do with this video, and this is why it takes me ages, is I need to explain what I'm doing. So with this video, I'll just edit out, the before and afterwards where I'm taking the camera down. But what I want to do with this video, to put it up on YouTube and also as a training session I'll do a retraining with Nina series, is I like to put my comments in. So I put the comments up as I go through the video and explain what I'm doing. And it takes a while for me, because I like to do everything good and to make sure that everything is clear and making sense. So that's why it sometimes takes me a while to get videos out, because I like to be able to put the comments up as I'm working through it and explain to you the process that I'm doing. So bear with me as I become more tech savvy and more organized. I'm actually quite disorganized with my life. Having 19 horses and 7 dogs. Anyway, I will see you soon. Take care, Sarah Becker. Bye.